to Couch Casual, where today we are going to be doing another division mock draft, as we've been doing the last 2 weeks or so. And this division the division we're going to be doing today is the AFC North, as the next team that hasn't gone yet is the Browns at pick 6. So let's get into the AFC North mock draft. So the first 5 picks: Doza, Reese, Love, Bailey, Styles. Okay. So Ruben Bain's honestly a possibility. I know edge rusher is the highest need for the Browns because obviously they have Myles Garrett. But next to Myles Garrett, it's Alex Wright, who was a third-round pick in 2022. So I think they could still draft an edge rusher. Not necessarily in the first round, though. But I don't think they go Ruben Bain. They honestly could go Malagoa, but I don't think he falls to them at 6. Caleb Downs, interesting. I personally really like for them to go offense. Their defense as is really good and was really good last year. And all they really did was change out Devin Bush for Quincy Williams in the offseason. But outside of that, their defense is pretty much the same, and it's a very good defense. Whereas their offense, you got guys like Judkins and Fannin and Dylan Sampson, Jerry. Like they don't have a lot offensively. In terms of young, promising pieces that I'm confident are going to be really good for a long time, it's just Judkins and Fannin. So they need help for whoever their quarterback is. It looks like it's going to be Shador this season, but just in general, they need help, especially at the receiver position. And I think the clear number one receiver in this draft is Carnell Tate. I also just don't. I think you can't go wrong with a Ohio State receiver. They rarely don't work out, especially when they're consensus to be drafted high. They do pretty well in the NFL more times than not. Again, they could go Lemon or Tyson here as well, but I'm gonna go with Carnell Tate to the Browns. Their receiver core is Tillman. What is it? Tillman, Judy, Isaiah Bond, Malachi Corley. Those are their 4 best receivers. That's not what you want as your 4 best receivers. So I am gonna go with Carnell Tate to Cleveland. Next up is the Bengals at 10. Kind of the same thing with Cleveland. I'm like, they have to go offense. Their defense is really good. And it's very similar with Cincinnati. There's no reason for them to go offense unless it's offensive line. I could see them going I could understand them going offensive line. But outside of that, it's gotta be defense. They've consistently had one of the worst defenses in football. They did spend some money. They got Brian Cook from Kansas City. DJ Turner had a really good year last year. They brought in Jonathan Allen, Boye Mafe. They added some pieces in free agency. They spent the money they had. But I still think they need to go defense. So looking at the best defensive players available, a lot of secondary: Mansour Delane, Dylan Tieneman, Jermon McCoy, CJ Allen, Mesidor. And honestly, those are the best guys outside of the linemen and Kenyon Sadiq. I think because they spent money on Brian Cook, they have Jordan Battle. They also brought Kyle Duggar, who every once in a while is good. I think corner makes the most sense. It's because they did lose what's his name? They lost Cameron Taylor Britt in free agency. I forgot where he went, but they lost him in free agency. So that creates a hole at corner. And there's some good corners on the board still with Delane and McCoy. McCoy's an interesting case because he's probably the best corner if he hadn't been injured. But that ACL injury has really made me, and probably a lot of people, that's not Mansour Delane, that's Jermon McCoy. So it feels like now Mansour Delane is the consensus best corner in the draft just because of McCoy's injury issues. So I think I'm gonna go with the safer pick at corner and go with Mansour Delane to Cincinnati. I think corner also makes more sense than safety because they lost a corner in free agency and they signed a safety in free agency. So I'm gonna go corner, Mansour Delane. Ravens are up at pick 14. The Ravens got honestly do a lot here. They could go receiver because it's really just Zay Flowers. They could go offensive line, to be honest. They need help on that interior line. Later in the draft, not in the first round, but later in the draft, they could go tight end. It's really just Mark Andrews. Defensively, they could get a pass rusher because they did sign Trey Hendrickson and Mike Green showed some flashes, but they could use some more pass rush help. They're probably the only position they're probably set at is secondary. They could even use a linebacker next to Roquan. I like Trent Simpson and Teddy Buchanan's not that bad either. But I think secondary is probably where they're the safest. I mean, corner's not a complete crazy pick for Baltimore. If there's a corner they like to pair alongside Humphrey and Wiggins, because Awuzie is just all right. They did draft TJ Tampa last year. But do they want to go Jermon McCoy at 14? I'm not sure. I think receiver makes sense because there's Makai Lemon and Jordan Tyson available. I think I like Makai Lemon a little bit more than Jordan Tyson, but it's honestly a coin flip. I would consider Ione, but he went to Miami at pick 11. So I am going to go with Makai Lemon out of USC to the Baltimore Ravens. And now we have Pittsburgh at 21. Speaking of receivers, Pittsburgh could honestly go receiver here too because it's just Metcalf and Pittman. I mean, I guess Roman Wilson, but it's really just Metcalf and Pittman. Defensively, not much needs to be changed, honestly. They consistently are going to have one of the best defenses in football. So I think you got to go offense here. Could this be a team that takes Ty Simpson? It seems like Ty Simpson's stock has risen a bit, and he could very well be a first round pick. And I wouldn't be mad at it for Pittsburgh. I do like Will Howard. I think they should give Will Howard a chance. Jordan Tyson being available here is very enticing. Kind of same name there. That's why I got that. Tyson. Anywho, Jordan Tyson could be a great pick here though at 21. He is a bigger receiver at 6'2", 200, and they kind of already have two of those in Metcalf and Pittman. Even Roman Wilson, I'm pretty sure, is a bigger receiver. So maybe a Mark Cooper makes a little more sense schematically, or like a more of a fit. Or again, do they just go with Ty Simpson at quarterback? You know what? I don't think I'd have Ty Simpson get drafted any other team in the first round. Like I don't think any NFC South or NFC North team is going to take Ty Simpson in the first. So to have Ty Simpson go in the first in one of these mock drafts, because it seems like there's a good chance that could be a possibility, I'm going to go Ty Simpson to Pittsburgh at 21. Cleveland does have another first round pick via the Jacksonville Jaguars trade, where the Jags traded up to get Travis Hunter and the Browns got Mason Graham. So of course we got Carnell Tate at pick 6. I guess the Browns could have maybe used Ty Simpson. But I think they're going to give Shador one more year. I think they should give Shador one more year. We could just double up on receiver and go Jordan Tyson, even though he's not going to be available. I don't think at pick 24, but I think the pick has to be tackle. Their O line is not great. And normally, when you're looking at tackles, you're like, is this a left tackle? You need to make sure you draft left tackles or right tackles. The Browns need both left or right tackles. So I'm just going to go Caden Proctor out of Alabama as probably the best tackle left on the board. I think it just makes the most sense. So now the Browns are back up at 39. We got Mr. Carnell Tate and Caden Proctor as their two first round picks. And Caleb Lomu's right here. We can go another tackle. Could add a D tackle next to Mason Graham, even though they have Malik Collins, who is probably good enough. And even Mike Hall Jr. too. So I don't think they go D tackle. They could go Caleb Lomu. Jacob Rodriguez is interesting. I don't hate Jacob Rodriguez out of Texas Tech. Pair him alongside Schlesinger. Because, yeah, you signed Quincy Williams, but do you really believe Quincy Williams is going to be a part of your long term future? I'm not sure you do. So you could go Jacob Rodriguez. Because Cincinnati at 41 could be a team to take Jacob Rodriguez. So maybe you want to draft him before Cincinnati does. Or do we just add to the O? I think, honestly, I'm going to add to the O line. I'm going to go Caleb Lomu to Cleveland at 39. Cincinnati is up at 41. Do we give them Jacob Rodriguez? Caleb Banks is available. Do they need a D tackle? They got BJ Hill, they got Jonathan Allen, Chris Jenkins, who they drafted not too long ago. I don't think they need to go D tackle. I think linebacker, even though the young core of Demetrius Knight and Barrett Carter, I think we're playing pretty good towards the end of the season. Do they just want more young linebackers? Maybe not. They could go edge rusher. It's Boye Mafe, Miles Murphy, and Shamar Stewart. You know what? I'm gonna go I'm gonna go just best player available. I'm gonna go Caleb Banks out of Florida. He's probably not gonna make it to their pick at 41, but he's a really good player. And yes, they signed Jonathan Allen, but I don't think signing a 31-year-old Jonathan Allen should stop you from drafting a guy like Caleb Banks if he makes it to you at pick 41. Next is the Ravens at pick 45. They also got a receiver, Mekhi Lemon, at pick 14. We could go another receiver and go Casey Concepcion. They need a D tackle. Lee Hunter's there. Yeah, they could use another D tackle alongside Jones and Madubuike. Is there any interior offensive lineman worth taking here? Jennings Dunker. I think he's actually going to play tackle, isn't he? I don't know. I feel like he might play tackle. Could go Connor Liu. Probably not at 45. Not at 45. Let me look up. I actually don't know if Jennings Dunker is going to play tackle or guard in the NFL. Okay, so he played tackle in college, but it seems like he might switch over to guard in the NFL. That's what it was. It was that he played tackle and he's going to be a guard, not the other way around. So I'm going to go with Jennings Dunker out of Iowa. Iowa's a good place to draft linemen out of, too. So we're going to go Jennings Dunker to the Ravens. Pittsburgh is up at 53. They got Ty Simpson at 21. And now they could go Chris Bell. He's another bigger receiver. Any other receivers? Chris Brazil, another big receiver. Yeah, I don't think they need another big. Zachariah Branch maybe later down the line could be something interesting for Pittsburgh. I don't hate corner. If you had to give them someone on defense, I think corner is their number one defensive need. Yeah, you got Joey Porter and Jalen Ramsey, who honestly played a lot of safety last year, and Jamel Dean, who was a good free agency pickup, but again, not necessarily a long-term answer. So I don't mind corner for them. It says they need linebacker and safety. I mean, they signed Jaquan Brisker. They got Deshaun Elliott. Jalen Ramsey plays safety. They got Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson as their linebackers. Their linebackers are pretty good. Could use a tackle, honestly. I don't mind tackle or even guard. Keelan Rutledge, Caleb Tiernan. Do we go Chris Johnson out of San Diego State? It's between him or Caleb Tiernan out of Northwestern. I know they've drafted tackles. They've drafted Fautanu and Broderick Jones. And I don't actually know if Caleb Tiernan plays what side of what side he played. He played left tackle, which is where Broderick Jones is. So you know what? I'm gonna go with Caleb Tiernan. Where'd he go? There he is. I'm gonna go Caleb Tiernan out of Northwestern to potentially be the next left guard for Pittsburgh. Because I just don't really like any of the other options, especially at receiver. I wanted to go receiver to them, but it was just all big receivers. I don't need another big receiver. They got enough of those. Cleveland is next up at pick 70. They got two linemen and a receiver. So now we can maybe look towards going defense here. Unless there's an interior offensive lineman, it's just Jalen Farmer out of Kentucky and Connor Lew out of Auburn. I don't mind Connor Lew at 70. They did sign Elton Jenkins in free agency. If they had to go defense, where would they go? I think you look corner, and I think you need another linebacker because you like JOK, but we never know when he's going to be healthy. So they had to go defense. I think you look at linebacker and corner. There's Keontae Scott out of Miami, 6', 195. I don't mind Keontae Scott or Traden Stukes. I like Traden Stukes as well. You know what? Do I go Traden Stukes or Keontae Scott? Because I think corner makes the most sense here. Again, linebacker's not crazy, but the best linebacker available is Keyshawn Elliott and Deontay Lawson. You're not taking those guys at 70, but you take Scott or Traden Stukes at 70. I'm just going to go with the higher guy on this board, and I'll go with Keontae Scott out of Miami. Cincinnati's up at 72. They got a corner and a D tackle. Do we keep the defensive theme here, or do we go O-line? Do they want Connor Lew? Who's their center? Their center is Ted Karras. I feel like they could maybe go with Connor Lew. Or do we just keep going defense? Again, they got D tackle and corner. But again, there's no linebackers worth taking. Do you go edge rusher? Do we get him an edge rusher? Or do we go D tackle? I was thinking of getting a D tackle last time, so we could go D tackle. Because I gave him a lineman. Oh, no, I did give him a D tackle. That's what I thought. I'm going to go with Joshua Josephs out of Tennessee for some pass rush help for Cincinnati. Pittsburgh is up at 76. They got their quarterback. They got their tackle. Now is there a good receiver for them? Deion Burks out of Oklahoma. He's 6'3". Maybe I'm overreacting to this size thing because I feel like a lot of the guys are just going to be bigger receivers. So you know what? They need receiver help. I'm going Deion Burks out of Oklahoma. Baltimore is up at pick 80. They got Jennings Dunker at guard and Mekhi Lemon at receiver. It says they need corner help. They do. They could use a boundary corner. Traden Stukes is right here. I like Traden Stukes as well. I think he's going to be a steal, especially if he's available at pick 80 in the third round. So I'm going to go Traden Stukes to Baltimore. Pittsburgh's back on the clock. They got quarterback, tackle, receiver. So their offense is pretty good. I think we can switch to the defensive side of the ball. Grace Halton is the best defensive player available, but their D tackles are Benton and Cameron Ward and Derek Harmon. That's really good. Even Sebastian Joseph Day. They don't need a D tackle. They don't need an edge rusher either. Safety's not a bad thing to look at, and Kamari Ramsey being available is that's pretty good because after him it's Zakee Wheatley and Bud Clark. So I'm going to go Kamari Ramsey to Pittsburgh. They got Jalen Ramsey and now they got Kamari Ramsey. Pittsburgh's back. Are they related? I actually don't know. Pittsburgh's back on the clock once again at number 99. It doesn't say they need corner, but I think they could use some corner help. So I'm gonna go corner. It's either Devin Moore out of Florida or it's Dalen Everett out of Georgia. I'm gonna go the bigger corner and I'm gonna go Devin Moore out of Florida. Cleveland is up at 107. They got a receiver, two tackles, and a corner. Do we go interior offensive line? Do we help out their interior? Not really anybody you're going to take there. The best guys are all edge rushers. They don't need edge rushers. I mean, they do need somebody next to Myles Garrett, I guess, because it's just Alex Wright. So do we go I like LT Overton, too, at 107. I love LT Overton out of Bama. And again, his skill set, as it says here, maybe a little raw, not the biggest production in college. 7 sacks in 40 games. However, it's the fourth round. I feel like you can get away with taking guys that didn't have the best production in college. So I'm going to go LT Overton to Cleveland to be their guy next to Myles Garrett and Mason Graham. Cincinnati is up at 110. They got a corner, D tackle, and an edge rusher. Should I just go best offensive lineman and go Demetrius Crownover out of A&M? I know they got Orlando Brown and Amarius Mims. Do they need interior offensive line more? Fairchild and Dalton Reisner? I gave him a corner. I gave him a Mansour Delane. I mean, they could use another corner, Malik Muhammad. They gave him a safety. I did not give him a safety yet. It's Jordan Battle and Brian Cook, because I do see Mr. Bud Clark out of TCU. You know what? I'm going to go with, is there any guards worth taking? Cage Casey, Brian Parker. I'm going to go with Demetrius Crownover out of A&M. Their O-line still isn't great. And once we're in the fourth round and they address enough of their needs offensively or defensively, I think they can go with a tackle. Baltimore's up at 115. They got receiver, guard, and corner. Says they need D tackle, so do we just go Caleb Proctor out of Louisiana? Southeastern Louisiana? I guess they could get a John Jenkins replacement to play alongside Jones and Monblige. All right, we'll go Caleb Proctor. We had a Caden Proctor go earlier to one of these teams. Now we have a Caleb Proctor going to Baltimore. Pittsburgh's back up. They kind of taken care of all their big needs. We got him a tackle. We got him a receiver. Got him Ty Simpson, a safety, a corner. I guess linebackers that the only need we haven't addressed for Pittsburgh. Bryce Botcher out of Oregon. What's their next pick? The next pick's 135. He might be available at 135, so I'm going to hold off on taking him. Do they use a center? Do they want Brian Parker out of Duke? Who's their center? Their center is Zach Frazier's good. They don't need to replace Zach Frazier. They don't need a center. I mean, maybe he can play guard. I'm not too familiar. Does he have to say anything here? He played center in high school, but then he switched to tackle when he went to Duke. At the very least, he's a 5-position flex lineman. I feel like Pittsburgh could use that. So you know what? We're going to go with Brian Parker out of Duke to just be a versatile depth lineman piece for Pittsburgh. And they're back on the clock. Pittsburgh is. Now we've definitely covered all their needs. Oh, wait. I was saying Bryce Botcher will probably be here at 135. He's here at 135. Give me Bryce Botcher out of Oregon to Pittsburgh. Cleveland has pick 49, 146 and 149 here. Again, kind of covered all their needs. I wouldn't mind going another receiver, to be honest. Cyrus Allen, Kevin Coleman. Do they need a tight end, a backup tight end to Fannin? They honestly kind of do. And there's Dallin Bentley and Marlon Klein out of Michigan. The last Michigan tight end I can remember that got drafted was pretty good. Now, I don't think Marlon Klein is going to be as good as Colston Loveland was, but Cleveland needs a backup tight end because Njoku's not there anymore. Give me Marlon Klein. And then at 149, give me Cyrus Allen out of Cincinnati. They need receivers, so I wouldn't be shocked at all if they double up at receiver. Next, we have Baltimore, who still has 4 picks to make in this 5th round. So we're probably going to go a little quicker with these. Another team that could use some tight end depth, because it's really just Mark Andrews and Durham Smythe. So we'll go Dallin Bentley out of Utah. Pittsburgh has I think this is their last pick. Pittsburgh's last pick, a team that's definitely covered all their needs at this point. So you know what? Let's go edge rusher Max Llewellyn. Llewellyn, I think that's how you'd say it. Llewellyn out of Iowa. Baltimore's backup on the clock. They got their backup tight end last pick. Again, kind of just going best player. They don't need a backup running back, I don't think. They got Justice Hill. So do we go Jaden Ott or Le'Veon Moss? It's just tight ends and running backs. Do we go another D tackle? Do they have a backup quarterback by any chance? They have Tyler Huntley still. So you don't need to draft like a Cade Klubnik or anything. Could just double up on receiver and go Kevin Coleman. We got him a corner yet. We got Stukes. You know what? They need receiver help. I'm going to go Kevin Coleman out of Missouri. Because guess what? They also have pick 174 and 175. And these are the last 2 picks of the draft. So give me Jaden Ott out of Oklahoma for a 3rd string running back. And give me some more guard depth and go DJ Campbell out of Texas. Oh, they grade my draft now. Okay. So we got a B plus on Cleveland and their picks. And here are Cleveland's picks with a B plus grade. Got Carnell Tate, Proctor, Lomu, Scott, Overton, Klein, and Cyrus Allen. Then Cincinnati got an A minus. We got Mansford Delane at pick 10, followed by Banks, Josephs, and Crownover. Then Baltimore got a B. Their 1st round pick was Mekhi Lemon, followed by Dunker, Stukes, Proctor, Bentley, Coleman, Ott, and Campbell. And then finally, Pittsburgh got a B minus with Ty Simpson, Tiernan, Burks, Ramsey, Moore, Parker, Botcher, and Llewellyn. And that will conclude our AFC North mock draft. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, comment down below what you agreed with and what you disagreed with, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.